Hi, my name is Jasmine Franco and I'm 18 years old. I was born in Chicago, but my parents are from Guatemala, but they had lived here in the U.S. for 19 years.
This is a story of resilience, faith, and compassion. But most of all, this is a story of a church strengthened by love and justice. This is Jasmine's story.
So this is where my parents and I lived. We moved here when I was 10.
November 22, 2008, in Ypsilanti, Michigan, Jasmine's childhood came to an end. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, came calling. Her 12-year-old sister opened the door.
They just pushed in, they flew her across the room, they just bursted in the door and told all of us to get on the floor. They did have guns with them, and one of them was pointing at us. They were just yelling like we were criminals and just get on the floor and put your hands in the air. And when I looked in the room, my mother's face, she just looked at us and I saw tears running down her face just because she knew what was going to happen. They were either coming for her or for my father. That's my dad, Hector, and Gloria, my mom, and that's my sister when she was in elementary school.
In the early 1990s, before Jasmine was born, her parents illegally entered the U.S. They were desperate to provide for her brother Alvin, who was a baby at the time. They were living in poverty in Guatemala. With broken hearts, they left him with relatives and made the arduous journey across the border.
They had to cross rivers and they had to walk through the desert, and they would go days without eating, and that's not what my mother wanted to put her 11-month-old through.
For most unskilled Hispanic Latinos, entering the United States legally is simply not an option.
You need to have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of land to even get a visa, and of course my parents did not have anything.
Once in the country, they quickly found steady employment and sent money home for the care of their son. Occasionally they ventured back to visit him. Later, in the U.S., Jasmine and Jennifer were born, and not far from Ypsilanti United Methodist Church, Jasmine's family settled into the American dream. But authorities were tipped off about her mother's undocumented status. That's when the nightmare began.
That's where I went to high school for 4 years.
Jasmine was a junior in high school, not quite 17, when her mother was placed in deportation proceedings. For months, she and her sister would skip school every week to visit their mom through a jailhouse window.
I think the hardest thing for her was when an immigration agent took the pictures we had sent her by mail and some letters that my sister and I and my father had wrote to her, and ripped them in front of her and threw them on the floor, and she told them to pick them up and put them in the trash can.
Her mother was deported without even being able to say goodbye. ICE was aware now of her father's undocumented status, so Jasmine begged him to self-deport and return to his home country. At first he resisted, but eventually agreed that he could not put his daughters through such trauma again, and he felt that his U.S. citizen children would fare much better in Michigan than to live in poverty in Guatemala. Shortly after he left, Jasmine realized her part-time cleaning job couldn't cover living expenses. Unwilling to see her little sister go hungry, Jasmine sent Jennifer, a U.S. citizen, to live with her parents.
When she was going hungry like I was on the weekends, and that's when I just said she can't stay in this situation. She has to go back. She didn't want to go. This is where she grew up. She didn't know how to write Spanish. She didn't know how to read Spanish. She barely knew how to talk Spanish, and she didn't want it to go.
That's when the severity of Jasmine's situation hit. She was alone, and she didn't know how she was going to manage.
And then I was like, what am I going to do?
The Immigration Service suddenly deported her parents, returned them to their homeland in South America. No hearing, no nothing. It broke up a very worthwhile family at a very challenging time.
Peter Fletcher is a member of Ypsilanti United Methodist Church, and like others in the congregation, he heard of Jasmine's troubles and stepped up to help. But even though it was disturbing to know she was living alone, struggling to pay the rent, some were concerned about getting involved in what could be a messy situation.
I was really apprehensive about the whole process and, the immigration part of it. I'm not very familiar with that, and so I was apprehensive about even getting involved and can I fit one more thing into my plate, and how much involvement would we be asked to do?
But Annette Caton did respond, as did others, like Natalie Savides and the Reverend Melanie Carey. They were just a few of a legion of caring Christians who reached out to Jasmine.
That first time that I took groceries to Jasmine, I took my daughter along, who was the same age, and also a junior in high school. And she went with me, and it really hit her hard. Not Jasmine's living conditions, but just the fact that she was all alone.
Relationships were built over a bag of groceries, but Jasmine was still very lonely and afraid. Immigration officials kept pounding on her door, not believing that her father had left the country. When this would happen, she would huddle inside her trailer and call the pastor for comfort.
And it would re-traumatize her every time.
And that's when the faith community took this scripture to heart. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. After 7 months alone, Jasmine found respite by moving in with Melanie and her family temporarily. They encouraged Jasmine to graduate from high school, a feat never before accomplished in her family. Jasmine began to grow in faith and confidence.
That's when I became hopeful. That's when I just said to God, I said, thank you for what you've given me. This is my room at Mike and Margie's house. This is my space. I kept this picture. I really liked it.
Today, Jasmine is safe and surrounded by many people who've come to know and love her.
He's just trying to see how firm I am in my diet.
Mike and Margie are empty nesters who've opened their home to Jasmine. She can stay as long as she desires.
Now that she's here is giving us an opportunity for her to open up, for her to relax, for her to take a deep breath, and for her, most importantly, to be a kid again. She doesn't have to be an adult and take care of everything now.
Jasmine is now pursuing her college degree while she works part-time. She wants to be a physician and treat indigent patients. Making the college honor roll is just another success on her recent list of accomplishments.
She is beyond a survivor. She is a thriver, and therefore that's what makes it very rewarding.
Jasmine has begun to define herself as a student, a creative soul, and a volunteer. Among other things, she translates for Spanish-speaking residents and teaches English as a second language.
I really understand the meaning of help now. I understand that even though maybe I can't give money, I can't give groceries, I can give love, I can help someone by being there for them. Okay, te voy a poner en speaker, ¿oíste?
She stays in contact with her family by phone. And, more than 3,000 miles away, they glory in her growth. Her family is living in poverty once again, and Jasmine regularly sends them money.
With Jasmine's story, we see very clearly that by deporting her parents, all we did was impoverish more people. And so it's actually ended up costing all of us so much more, because now we have, two sets of people in two different locations who are in poverty. Together, they could have made it, but separated, it requires a Herculean effort from so many people.
The church took up a collection for Jasmine to visit Guatemala, and she's now pursuing options to bring her sister Jennifer back home. In the meantime, she does a lot of praying.
It's really dangerous over there, and my dad started his own little business, and There's so many people that have the same business he does, delivering things to stores, and they have been killed. And I am always scared that I'm gonna get a call just saying your family, some family member is dead.
While Jasmine has regained stability, her story has many in this faith community concerned about the bigger picture.
What I hope the faith communities do is raise awareness that is positive and hopeful and allows families to stay together and people to improve their circumstances.
It's not fair to see families broken apart. So there must be some very humane, good answer to this problem.
I think the faith community, and as a Methodist, of course, we're followers of John Wesley. John Wesley reminded us at the very outset of Methodism, the world is our parish. And it is not just Ypsilanti, it is not just Michigan, it is not just the United States. This is a worldwide problem of shifting populations around the world. We can bring a measure of hope, and we can bring a measure of a great turnaround.
In the meantime, Jasmine is determined to achieve the American dream that so abruptly slipped through her family's fingers. And she knows she won't have to do it alone.
I want families who maybe are in my situation or have been in my situation to understand that it is hard, but you will always have God by your side.